Chapter 8 Echoes and Eyes. The first 24 hours of the new dig were a study in organized chaos. Under the harsh glare of portable light stands that turned the desert night into a surreal twilight, the geodynamics crew worked with a quiet, intense focus. They were professionals, but Ben could see the skepticism in their eyes as they followed the strange, hand drawn map of a man they considered a corporate sponsored eccentric. The mood shifted just after dawn on the second day. "Ma'am, you need to see this." A lead geologist called out to Kalen, his voice tight with confusion. He pointed to the screen of his ground penetrating radar unit. "The GPR is going haywire. It's getting readings that don't make any sense." Ben and Kalen crowded around the monitor. The display showed a cross section of the bedrock nearly 50 feet below the surface. But instead of the expected strata of sandstone and limestone, the radar was painting a picture of impossible geometry. A series of perfectly smooth, sheer vertical planes, intersecting at clean right angles. "That's not possible," the geologist muttered, running the diagnostic again. "Erosion doesn't work like that. It looks less like geology and more like architecture. Like someone sliced through the planet's crust with a razor." Ben felt a thrill shoot through him, a jolt of recognition from a place deeper than memory. He remembered Lyra's journey through the canyons, the strange smooth cuts in the rock face. "The kind of tool they don't want us to find," she had said. This wasn't a natural formation. It was a scar left by their technology. "Keep scanning," Kalen ordered, her face an unreadable mask. "Log every anomaly." The glitches began an hour later. First, the encrypted satellite link Ben was using to communicate with Keats flickered and died. It came back online 30 seconds later, but the connection was sluggish, the data packets corrupted. Then, the site's primary communications array went down for 2 solid minutes, cutting them off from the outside world. "It's not equipment failure," Kalen's head of security, a stern woman named Rostova, reported, her jaw tight. "Both systems have redundant backups. Something is actively interfering with our signal. We're being probed." The paranoia was a low grade fever that spread through the camp. A supply drone flying in from the coast suddenly veered off course, its GPS signal scrambled, before crashing into the dunes 10 miles away. Rostova's team swept the perimeter, their faces grim. The vast empty desert no longer felt empty. It felt like it had eyes. That evening, Kalen found Ben in the command tent, staring intently at the GPR data, trying to build a 3D model of the impossible subterranean structures. "They're testing us," she said, her voice low. "Seeing what we have, how we react." "This is more important than corporate espionage, Kalen," Ben said, gesturing to the screen. "Don't you see? This is evidence of their tools, the same tools that built the ship. They didn't just land here, they reshaped the very bedrock of the planet. The science won't matter if our data is stolen and we're buried out here in the sand," Kalen countered, her voice sharp. "My priority is securing this operation." Her words were prophetic. Rostova entered the tent at that moment, her face pale. She held up a small sealed evidence bag. Inside was a tiny metallic disc, no bigger than a thumbnail. "We found that it adhered to the underside of the main generator's housing," Rostova said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's a military grade burst transmission listening device, non commercial. It's been broadcasting our conversations for the last 12 hours." A heavy silence fell over the command tent. The truth was undeniable. They weren't just being probed by a corporate rival. They were being targeted by a player with resources and technology that rivaled their own. Kalen walked to the tent's entrance and looked out at the darkening desert, the distant lights of the dig site feeling fragile and exposed. The hunt was no longer a secret. The ghosts of the past had a new audience, and in the silent, invisible war for the greatest prize in human history, they had just realized they were no longer the hunters. They were the prey.